Hello, everybody. This is Joaquin, and I'm here with Jay.
What up? What up?
This is Overflow Podcast. This is the Overflow Podcast.
That's right.
At
thisisoutcry.com.
And so this is something new that we are starting. So for all our family members that'll probably be the first ones to listen to this, we thank you.
Right, like my wife.
We thank you, my mom, maybe my dad. My sisters probably won't listen to it.
Maybe to make fun of us.
That's true. Your sisters might listen to it.
For the same reason.
Same thing. Junie, you're not allowed to listen to it. So if you're hearing my voice right now, then you need to go to bed.
Oh my God.
So Jay, this is the idea, and everyone that's listening, the idea with this podcast is very simple. We just want to just kind of have conversation, just talk. There's always a lot of stuff going on in the world. There's always a lot of stuff going on, in church and in churches, and so we just kind of want to just have a conversation about all the different things that are, that are going on. Maybe some things that are just affecting our lives. Earlier, me and Jay were talking about staying in our lanes and kind of what that means when it comes to doing different things in life, whether it's ministry, whether it's a job, whether it's life, whatever that might be. Actually, off mic, we just had a really great conversation about all kinds of stuff. So, we need to start hitting record a lot sooner. So, with that being said, once again,
maybe put a camera in the corner or something.
Yeah, no one wants to. I'm in my pajama pants. No one wants to see that. So once again, I'm Joaquin, and this is Jay.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to say Jay or Outcry.
I need you to say Jay because I said my name. My name is Joaquin. So this is Joaquin. This is Jay. We've known each other. A little background. We've known each other for a very, very, very long time now. About 10 years now, right?
Nah, longer than that.
Longer than 10. I used to.
I measure everything now by my marriage.
Okay.
Right? So I'm going on 6 years. So it's got to be longer than that.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's like times 2. So we've probably known each other almost 15 years now.
Yeah, almost 15 years. I think I've been here 15 years in Atlanta, and I think we met my second year here.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So so me and Jay, I've known each other a long time, and we're always having conversations about all kinds of stuff. So we just want to include people into our wacky conversations. And Jay's been a youth pastor for a very, very, very long time. He's always been involved in youth work.
Very, very, very,
very long.
Very.
Or music or that kind of stuff. And
that's the thing. Those are the things that connect us, right? The things that connect us are the church in general, not just,
right.
The church, not that we go to the same church, but the church in general, the youth, right? As far as youth ministry, because you've also been a youth pastor.
I've been a youth pastor.
Right. And then Christian music.
Yes.
Not just music, like Christian music in all aspects, worship,
right?
Especially hip hop. We're both hip hop heads.
Especially since we met because I started DJing when you did Club ATL for you. That's right. Really the first time we connected.
That's right. He's the DJ. I'm the rapper for Jesus.
And I was a terrible DJ, so that's why I'm retired. People ask me to come out of retirement. I'm like, you don't know what you're asking.
He was known as DJ Phantom, but in our circles, he was known as DJ Push Play.
Push Play. There actually is a DJ Push Play.
Yeah, I know. You told me.
So I love it. So me and Jay have known each other a very long time, and so we're just doing this. Thisisoutcry.com. It's a website, Jay. It should be live right now.
Actually, it's not. I went to New York, and I was going to take my laptop with me to push the button, but if any of you have flown Frontier, that that Frontier will charge you $60 for anything that is extra.
Right.
So for financial reasons, I didn't take my laptop with me.
Yeah, it stinks to fly. That's why I always want to take the bus, but no one ever wants to join me. So the website will be up, and on the website
it'll be up tomorrow.
It'll be up tomorrow, and then on the website just be content. It might be music videos, it might be the devotionals, all, just kind of things, and they're just really going to be pushing us.
Well, yeah. Well, what the idea behind the website, and I think I put out a little image. It's faith, culture, life, and whatever, some other things. I get inspired. I write. But it's life, of course, faith, church, culture, music because of our involvement. But from a Christian perspective, from a perspective of I love Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. Pull the mic down a little bit. No, I'm a mic. But his job is really just all the design stuff, and he preaches and he does all that stuff. I'm really just kind of good at just jibber jabbering, so I get to jibber jabber about kind of nothing really, just the whole
and the music. Like you find new music.
I do. I'm always looking for music. I have such an easy job; it allows me to do that. I won't say where I work. People want to come try to take it away from me.
Yeah, no,
but,
you can't do that.
So anyway, so we're kind of so that's kind of who we are. So we've given you probably about 5-6 minutes about kind of who we are, where we're coming from. And if you're wondering, so Jay grew up in New York. All right, so Jay's from Far Rockaway, New York.
Far Rock, hard rock, stand up.
Right.
So dumb.
And I, believe it or not,
you're gonna say the same thing, aren't you?
I always say the same. I, believe it or not, Jay's Puerto Rican, born in New York. I'm Puerto Rican, born in Puerto Rico. But I grew up in Georgia. When I was around 5 years old, I was raised in Georgia. I've lived all over the state, and I still get asked more times than Jay does if I'm from New York, which drives Jay crazy, and it's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
I don't think it drives you crazy anymore.
He still gets a little frosty, ladies.
I really don't. I mean, the minute I see you wearing a Brooklyn hoodie and a Yankee cap, I won. That's it.
My whole life I've asked where Brooklyn's at, so that's kind of that's my whole life. I've always wondered where's Brooklyn.
Now you've been up there,
and now I know I've been to Brooklyn. It was okay. So with that being said,
it's a good thing Juice is in here.
Because Juice is from Brooklyn.
Yeah, Juice is from Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. I gotta remember that. And so we just mentioned our friend Juice, and we'll probably as this thing grows, we'll have friends come along and join us.
He'll definitely
join us in for the conversations that we'll have now. So we kind of stopped there, and let's just kind of dive into me and Jay. I mentioned it earlier. Me and Jay were talking about lanes when it comes to ministry, and kind of doing the things of God and of the church. Jay, what do you when I say that, when I say stay in your lane, because that's been one of my big things probably this last about 8-10 months now, probably. I'm always kind of on this, people need to stay in their lane when it comes to to ministry. And so Jay, when I say that, what do you think, what kind of comes to mind with that? It's just some of the conversations we've had.
Well, I think it's funny. I've been using staying in your lane a lot lately too, especially, well, let me get like church specific, right? Because church specific, you can have excitement and passions for a lot of things.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you're good at all of them.
True.
Right.
That's why I'm talking.
That's right. Right. People can like music and have favorite singers. Doesn't mean they can sing. Right.
That's true.
So singing is not a lane that they should be riding in or driving in.
Right.
Right. So, when I think of that, I think, and then to bring it in, because this is something we do all the time, right? We have many gifts, okay, and God has gifts that He has given us as people, but it doesn't mean that we all have every gift. You got to know what your gifting is,
right, and
move in that gifting. And just because you like something doesn't mean that that's your gift, ergo your lane that you should be driving in. And the gifts don't have to be spiritual gifts.
Right. I mean, it could be gift, talent, right? Sometimes
they're called talents, right? Sometimes you could be talented at crunching numbers, right? Like me, I am not talented at crunching numbers.
Nope. I work so I can stay in debt. That's pretty much has become my philosophy in life.
Right, well, what do you whenever you say that? What are you talking about?
Well, when I say stay in your lane, I think that part of the problem sometimes that we have as believers is that we tend to look at what other people are doing, and we see, Johnny is like starting a church, and I've always thought that would be like a cool thing to do. Joni is, Johnny and Joni, Joni is over here, and she sings, at the worship team, and she's like front and center, and she's amazing, and I've always liked to sing. And so what ends up happening is that we end up wanting to do the things that we like to do, and then we don't really step back and ask ourselves and ask God, well, what is it that you want me to do? Where is it that you want me to go? A lot of times, and what I've noticed is you see this, a lot of people that are dreamers, a lot of people with always big ideas, those are the ones that always seem to get lost in pursuing all these dreams and all these ideas, and then they get frustrated.
Right.
And so then they're like, well, why is it that I'm not a designer yet? Or how come I'm not singing? Or how come I'm not, doing this? And it's maybe not because, they're not slated maybe to do those things, but they've jumped into so many different lanes, so many different things, that ultimately you get lost.
Right. Yeah.
And so the idea is,
simplify.
If we're talking staying in your lane, what do you have passion for? What has God given you passion for? And how can I pursue that? And then in the midst of pursuing that, other doors might open, or you might gain much more appreciation and knowledge in what it is that you're following. If it's speaking, if it's starting a homeless ministry at your church, if it's being a Sunday school teacher can be your lane.
Yeah, it could be.
I think a lot of times
picking up the coffee cups from the church floor could be your lane.
Yeah. Or working your job and doing it to the best of your ability and honoring God in that can be your lane. Because I think a lot of times as Christians, and this isn't, obviously this isn't new, right? This isn't a new idea, but we always kind of get lost in, I've got to do ministry. And so we think ministry is what is done in the church, and we tend to kind of put aside, I have a friend who, works a regular job, but he had read these books, and in those books, it was all about how to be a witness and how to be a missionary in your job where you work. So this is a guy who loves to do music, and he still does music on the side, but you know what? He takes care of his family. That's his ministry. That's his first ministry. And then he sees, well, how can I show Jesus in my job? How can I be a light through my actions? Since sometimes you can't say Jesus at work, some places, because they'll take you to HR,
especially my job,
right? Because somebody will get offended. But how can I show compassion and love and grace and all these different things that we're supposed to be showing anyway?
But you said something important earlier, and it's something that I say a lot too. You said, you need to know what your passion is, right? Because sometimes what you're passionate about lines up with your gifting.
Yes.
Or lines up with your calling, right? And I'm telling you this, and I'm like getting convicted because of another conversation that we had earlier. But, and most people don't see that, because some people think that what they're passionate about is separate from God or separate from church. Right.
Right.
But, and I'm not saying that all of the passions are, because if you have a passion for food, then, you eat, and you eat, but,
right. And then they got to break the wall down to get you out of your bed.
Yeah. You can't witness with eating all the time. But in most cases, I can say in a lot of cases, what you're passionate about lines up with your calling. Like, God gives you a passion for a certain thing, right? That if you follow and you give that passion over to God, and you, like, let's say you marry them, right? Then then He receives glory. He receives glory, and whatever that thing is that you're focusing your passion on, it grows. Like, God blesses it and it flourishes. We have we have examples of people whose passion is to help the less fortunate, right? And so they start just doing something, let's say small, like giving little homeless kits,
right,
to people in the street, and then somebody hears about it and wants to help and fund it, and then it just grows into this big thing,
right,
because you decided to give God your passion over
right,
helping the less fortunate. It's an amazing thing when you can see that and you can marry them.
Right. And I think that's a good point about, giving God your passion. I think a lot of times, it's funny because it's like God has given us a passion, but we need to turn right back around and give it back to Him and say, okay, God, you've given me this passion. I'm going to hand it back to you so that you can make it grow. Because I also believe that, we might be, might be passionate about certain things. We're passionate about music.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't mean that we're going to do music. We're passionate about it. We love listening to it. We love talking about it. We love going to concerts. We get excited when we discover new artists, whether it's in hip hop, pop, rock, even country, whatever.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we're going to all of a sudden say, hey, let's start a 2-man band and let's follow our passion in music.
That would be hard.
It would be a terrible band.
That would be a catastrophe.
It would be no one would come see us.
But on that, we do events.
We do.
Where we include a lot of music in it.
We are able to include our passion, but we're not following that.
No, we're
passion.
not following our.
We're trying to figure out. Here's where God has us. We're passionate about all these different kinds of things.
Yeah, those things can
bless and can come in to connect what it is that we're pursuing. One of the things for me with this podcast, is I'm a talker. I love to talk. I could talk to anyone. Matter of fact, my mom one day told me that when my uncle was staying with us, she walked into the room and he was in one bed and I was in another bed, and we were having a conversation in our sleep. So I'm always talking, right? That's the thing. So I said, well, I can talk. I can do a podcast. I can talk about stuff. I have all kinds of ideas.
So in other
whether
words,
right or wrong.
In other words, don't no one should be surprised if there are a lot of podcasts where it's just you by yourself.
Right. I mean, you might get a there might be a second podcast. It'll be Overflow Overtime, and it'll just be rambling about just whatever random stuff comes into my head. That'll probably be the more entertaining podcast. But so the idea of, once again, following the passion, staying in your lane, doing the things that God has called you to do. This serves, I think, two things. It serves Him, and that serves the church. Because that's another passion that we have here. Speaking of passion, that's another passion. I know for me, it's a passion. I love the church. I think that the church gets a bad rap a lot of times, and we're always so quick to want to point out, the faults of the church and what they did wrong or what they're not doing right. But it's like, what do you expect, right? When it's a whole bunch of messed up, fallen people trying to do community and life together, and it's gonna be messy. It's like any family. We all have our families, and some people we have good relationships with, some people we don't, some people we fight with, some people we don't. But that doesn't mean we just, some people we don't even want to see them, right? In our family, we're just like, I don't even want to talk to that guy. But that doesn't mean we just write people off and you're just dead to us, right? They're still part of your family, even if you're not talking to them. Right. At the end of the day,
right. You don't quit on family, because even if you're not talking to them, if they need you, if they need you to get their back, you're gonna get their back.
You're gonna get their back. You're gonna be there. And so, one of the things that we definitely are not gonna do with this is we're not gonna be bashing the church. Now, we might point things out that we think maybe the church might be able to maybe do better or maybe rethink, but it's not in the spirit of, you're wrong and you're doing it wrong. And because ultimately I heard somewhere not too long ago, we always want people to extend us grace, but we're very, 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 but we very rarely want to extend grace to others.
Right.
Whether it's, so we'll say, oh, that church, how can they say that stuff about me? They should give me grace. I'm a sinner. But then when the church messes up, we're like, those bunch of hypocrites. I can't believe, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, the church is full of hypocrites.
Yeah,
it'll never be full,
including us. I was going to say you, but let me say us.
Well, you can say me, and then I will just say, and that just shows your hypocrisy. I'm trying to point it out that it's just me. That is just me.
No, I've been that guy too.
Well, I think what's funny is that when you're young. When I was in college, I was always like, yeah, the church doesn't know what they're doing. And then as I've gotten older, it's like, well, you know what? There was a lot of things they did that was pretty spot on.
Well, the thing also is that a lot of people point the finger at the church. The church is wrong. Oh, church isn't four walls. And they don't realize, yes, dude, you're the church. So if the church is wrong and the church is doing something that you don't agree with, then you need to take an inward look to see how you're participating in that wrong that you're seeing that the whole is doing.
Right. Because well, it's like
if you're saying that the church is wrong and you're saying that you're the church, that we're the church as people, then you are participant in that wrong.
It's like excuse me, I was talking to a guy one time, and I had him, they're a believer, and I had invited them to church. I said, oh, you should, let's go to church. Where are you going to church? And their response was, well, I don't go to church. And I was just like, why? Why aren't you going to church? Well, because I was going to this church, but they weren't doing what the Bible says. And I was like, well, what weren't they doing? Well, they weren't feeding the poor and taking care of the widows. And I was like,
then why didn't you do it?
I was like, really? I was like, this is very interesting. I said, and are you doing that? Are you going out and taking care of the orphans and the widows? Are you feeding the hungry? And Grant, I'm a very sarcastic person, unfortunately, or fortunate. That's my gift. That's my gifting. Sarcasm.
That's your passion.
That's my passion. And I remember he got real quiet, and I was like, it's really easy. And it's funny because I've had this conversation with two different people. Another guy, same thing. Well, I don't go to church because they're not feeding the homeless. They're not taking care of the poor, whatever. And I said, well, what are you doing? Are you doing that? Both times it got really, really, really quiet and really uncomfortable. Because, you can't say somebody isn't doing something that you think should be done if you're not willing to step in. And both of those guys, I told them the exact same thing. I said, if you think that church that you're going to needs to be doing that, then you need to be the guy that steps in and says, hey, I'll take over doing the homeless ministry. I'll start the homeless ministry. How can we reach people? I think that's what we need to be as believers is, instead of, I think it's just kind of in general, as church people, I think we need to start really looking at, instead of, well, what aren't you doing for me or what aren't you doing for others? And kind of turning it around and saying, well, how can I do for the church so that the church can extend itself for others? Because there's all kinds of ministries, all kinds of things that are very easy to join to be able to follow those passions. Then we might think the church needs to be done.
Agreed. So next time, if you're listening to this, next time you want to look at the church for faults, take a look in the mirror.
Yes, I was told one time that somebody told me that they weren't going to church anymore because it was full of hypocrites. And I said, well, they got an empty seat for you. They're not full.
That's funny. I was thinking if that was me, I would have said, well, they can always use one more. So, except for you, they're missing you. I don't know, so many things that could be said. But there you go, my first
not too bad. Yeah, we're gonna ask you guys to really bear with. We're gonna ask maybe I'm hoping 10 of you that listen to this to bear with us as we kind of figure out what it is we're doing with our ums and our ahs. I think we've done pretty well
as we streamline this
with my heavy breathing. Like I sound like I've walked 30 miles in the snow uphill both ways.
Uphill both ways,
or one way. I don't know. Right? Isn't that what old men used? My dad used to say that. I think. When I lived in Chicago, rah! That's what you sound like, Dad. If you're listening to this. Everyone.
So this is the Overflow Podcast.
At thisisoutcry.com.
And yeah, this is the first. Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think. I'm gonna Jay. Listen, if you got anything negative you got to say, Jay said that he will accept those things. You could tell him. I only want the positive things, and you know what they say. If you got nothing nice to say, then just don't tell me.
That's exactly how they say it.
Just don't tell me.
No, this is new to us. It's new to us, so we will be streamlining it as we get more familiar and more comfortable with this podcast thingy. And it's funny, we work a lot better on video than we do on, I guess, audio, right? Because this is a podcast. But
I think we work better when we're not being recorded or filmed. Is like when we tend to be our funniest and our most insightful. So that means that you would have to find us and hang out with us to really kind of get the full effect in
That's
stereo.
True. But it's another
bum.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah. We can't have silence, right? You can't have no dead air.
Right. Check it. So the website is thisisoutcry.com. Right. This is
www.
www. Nobody uses that anymore. Thisisoutcry.com. And actually, thisisoutcry.com is for everything. It's for the website. It's for YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Everything. We keep it simple instead of trying to find.
Eventually, we're gonna try Periscope. Oh, that's kind of.
I don't know about that.
That should be fun. That should be fun.
Periscope will also be what? This is our cry.
This is our cry.
But we're gonna work. Yeah, no PJs.
No PJs.
We're gonna work on trying to touch current subjects, and we're gonna touch on Bible and how to live Bible in this time. We're gonna bring in a lot of things with the news and a lot of topics that are probably too sensitive for some churches. The good thing about This Is Our Cry is that we're not a church.
Right.
We're just a bunch of knuckleheads.
So no one can fire us.
So we're not going to get fired.
No one can complain. If they do, we delete their emails.
Right. We'll delete your comments. If it's not biblical, we'll just delete your comments.
Everything.
But what we're big on is that things have to be Bible. Right? Things have to be Bible. They have to. When I say that, I mean that they have to align with what the Bible says. Okay, opinion is one thing. Feelings are,
and you'll get a lot of opinions with us because we're very opinionated. We're two Puerto Ricans.
So
so there's two things that we are. We're loud and opinionated,
and hungry,
and hungry.
There's three things. That's true. And hungry. We can always eat.
Go eat at Waffle House right now.
But we like to make sure that even what we're saying lines up with the word. It has to line up with the word. The red letters must be seen and heard. So that's one thing I can say. You already said it. We will never bash the church, and we will keep everything that we do, whether we write it as downloadable devotionals, whether we do videos or podcasts or whatever, anything that we're talking about, music, culture, faith, everything will line up with the word.
Yeah, we're gonna now, and hey, a lot of this too is to invite dialogue, because that's really one of the best ways to learn. We might have kind of an opinion on how the word applies, and we welcome and we encourage that. Come at us and say, well, hey, here's what I see, and here's how I see it applying, and we'll have conversations, because that's the way we learn. It's not about. A long time ago, I heard there was a saying. I don't remember where I picked it up, but it essentially was this. It said, in the non-essentials, charity, and in the essentials, unity. And what that means is, look, we believe, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We believe he died on the cross, rose the third day, died for the sins of mankind. Like those, very, central tenets. We believe in baptism. We believe in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Those things are rock solid. We're there. But now, other little things, hey, we're more than glad to have conversations about music, about maybe some some things that society does, some things that maybe some Christians do this and some Christians don't do that, and where's the line? Hey, we'll have those conversations, all day long. But I want this, and when I was expressing to Jay about us really kind of diving into this, not really knowing what we're doing, is I just want it to be conversation. It's not always going to be serious. You might get one day where, man, life is good, and we just want to joke around and just talk about some of the funny stuff that's happened.
But it definitely won't be argumentative. We're not here to
right.
fight.
We'll fight with each other because we've been friends long enough to where we can kind of do that, but we won't fight with you.
Yeah, we're not gonna fight
unless you show up at my door.
We're not gonna fight about religion. We're not gonna fight about whatever. We're not going to use the word to argue with. We're not going to use the Bible to start fights, end fights, or to continue fights. That's not going to happen. That's not biblical.
That's right. And if you got beef with us, let us know. Don't talk about us behind our backs. I mean, we wouldn't know, I guess, with social media.
Yeah, right.
It is what it is. I'm. You could trash me on Twitter. I wouldn't. You could tag me on Twitter like just talking trash, and I wouldn't even know because I don't really get on Twitter. I'm like an old man. It confuses me. I don't understand. 140 characters. I can't get enough thoughts out in that amount of time or space. Even though I heard Twitter might be getting rid of the 140 characters.
Yes, I read that also.
So maybe I will get on Twitter now. Yeah. But probably not.
The only way I get on Twitter is when I put up something on Instagram and it's connected to Twitter.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah, I need to.
So I share it with Twitter. Yeah.
But yeah.
But you can. But with the website coming up now, Twitter will automatically be a lot more active because it's connected to the website. So any post that we place or any new thing that shows up on the website will automatically be tweeted. So if you follow Twitter, if you're big on Twitter, again, the handle is This Is Outcry. And I am more on Twitter than Joaquin is. So I will see those things.
I'm never on Twitter.
And most likely, no, not even most likely, it will be me responding.
But if you have Twitter, I'm Joaquin Atlanta. I'm at Joaquin Atlanta. You could tweet me. It'll pop up in my notifications, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, "Who's this cat?" Sure, I'll follow you. Yeah. I need to go through and probably see who I'm following.
Twitter is twitter.com/thisisoutcry, and it's mainly me for right now. Thoughts, encouragement, links to our website, and just a lot of the things we do. I don't want to get too deep into the things we do. And
right, because then if we don't, because here's the thing, right? One thing I learned earlier this year, I saw this I might have seen this on Reddit. It was like a meme or something, and it was like, don't tell people what you're gonna do, so that way if you don't do it, they don't look at you.
Be like KB. They'll just do it.
They don't look at you as if, oh, this dude never does nothing. So we're keeping it hush hush. But be on the lookout, to see what kind of stuff we're going to be doing. The podcast will be coming out every week. And probably the goal is to post it up every Friday. But we might adjust that, down the line, and we might move it to post it up on Mondays. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But for right now, it'll be on Fridays. It'll be not just on the website, but on SoundCloud. So if you're on SoundCloud, you can sign up for one of those, like the RSS feeds, and it'll pop up whenever we post something.
And also movies. Ideas, yeah. I forgot movies. We're big on movies.
Oh, we love,
especially superhero movies.
Love movies. Well, now I will promise you this. I promise you this. I will watch every superhero movie that comes out, but I will not spoil the movie for you unless you say something nasty to me. But then I'll just spoil it just to you. Like I'll just
I'll at you. We'll send you a tweet. Yeah, the cat died at the end because he got hit in the head with a chicken wing.
Yes. It's like the weakest superhero or villain. He's dead because of a chicken wing. So yeah, so we got all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, that we will be able to get done to do. This is the first one. Like I said, every Thursday we'll be recording these, posting them up on Friday unless we decide a different day works best for us. We'll talk about life. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. Like this weekend, actually, Jay, his son, turns 1. So
tomorrow.
He turns 1. Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow's his birthday.
But the birthday party's Saturday. So we're gonna.
Oh, here you go. Faith, fashion, music, revival, culture, shift. This is outcry.
So this is outcry. All kinds of stuff. Will make you outcry. But yeah. So our little Sebastian Cal El Soto. Not ours. He's like my nephew. Jay's son. Turns 1 Friday. So we're all very excited about that.
So excited.
And then on Saturday, we are going to have a little party and get crunk with a 1-year-old birthday party.
As crunk as a 1-year-old birthday party can be.
Can be. And well, I mean, I am going to be sneaking him sugar like the whole day. I just want you to know I'm going to have a pocket full of sugar. I'm just going to be feeding him sugar.
That's all right. That just means he'll expend it early and fall out.
Oh, and I'm like intravenously. I mean, it's like for those of you that have ever watched Batman, the cartoons or the comics, Bane gets his strength through this venom, the serum that he's got attached to his head. That's what I'm gonna do to that poor kid. I'm just gonna attach sugar straight into his little heart. It's gonna be like a bumblebee or a hummingbird. So, Jay just showed me something on Instagram about Batman. Listen, we're just falling off the rails here.
Yeah, we have been for a while.
We love comics. That's all there is. But anyways, but that's the beauty of what it is we're doing, because we really don't know what we're doing. So we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. So I'm going to start off maybe more Bible-y at the beginning, a little more silly at the end. So with that being said, one thing that we will be doing also, I don't know if we're going to do it. I don't know if we'll be able to do it for this one, because I didn't think about it till now. But one of the things that at the end of every podcast, we are going to try to connect you with an artist that we think you should be on the lookout for, whether it's somebody known, maybe they've released a new single or they've released a new album. Like Jesus Culture just released a new album, Echo Live, I think is what it was called.
Let It Echo.
Yeah, live, because it's a live album.
I just copped it.
I have it, but I really haven't listened. I've been listening to this album by Judah Smith, the pastor. His church put out this album.
It's in Seattle, right?
Yeah, and I might, since I've talked about it, I'm gonna link it. We'll link it on the page so that you can go check it out. But what's really, really cool about his album is like half of the album are like snippets of his sermons, with music. And that's a lot of mornings. That's what I listen. That's what I listen to on my way to work. I'll listen to this, it's like about, just how Jesus brings us joy, or just, Jesus, just dying on the cross for us, because we're just terrible sinners, and he just loves us so much that he still did that.
To a hip hop track.
But it's not to a hip hop track.
No,
it's to like a worship type song. Very cool. So we'll connect that. I won't. Maybe we can. I don't think I have a way to. I don't think I have a copy of it, but we'll connect it.
Is it a free download?
It is not a free download, but we'll connect it. They've got some stuff on. We can connect it through YouTube, and then we can connect it through iTunes and Google Play Music.
Right, we can do that,
so that you guys can check it out and listen to it.
On that,
all 5 of you,
like the new Jesus Culture album, I was listening to it at work today. It's really good.
Is it new stuff, or is it just kind of some of the old stuff?
No, it's all new stuff.
Okay,
it's all new stuff. And if you're in Atlanta, they will be here in March, right? If I'm not mistaken, at the rally with Reinhard Bonnke.
Yes, they will be. And
Daniel Kalenda. Yeah, so you check them out, check out their new stuff, check out their old stuff, and then go check them out live.
Yeah,
because it's
it's
incredible live,
and you're gonna hear some good preaching too.
You're gonna get some great preaching.
You're gonna get some really good preaching.
You're gonna get some great preaching. But Yeah, we listen to all types of stuff. So that I would, on the hip hop side, Church Close 3, Lecrae kind of snuck that in.
Yes.
Didn't let anybody know until it showed up on iTunes.
I have heard a lot of different
and I've heard nothing but positive stuff of it,
it's really good
about it. I've heard misconceptions, and it's, for me, without even hearing the whole album, I already say that's my favorite track.
Oh yeah, that's like, yeah, it's got different artists. Jay Givens, it's got
Jay Givens, John
Gibbs. Well, you know they're cousins.
Oh, are they?
I didn't know that. Yeah, they're cousins.
Oh, that's cool.
They even formed together a group, and they've only released one song, but it's something like something cousins, like Next Door Cousins or something. But they're like related.
Oh, that's dope.
What the heck? And Belief is, he's related to.
He's related to.
He married John Gibbs' sister, I think.
John Gibbs' sister. But it's
information
Lecrae,
no one cares about.
Jay Givens, John Gibbs, and I was just talking about her.
Perry. I just forgot her name.
So did I.
Really awesome female artist.
Jackie Perry.
Jackie Hill
Perry.
Who was a spoken word and does the raps.
So
we're gonna connect like 3 different albums. Since we talked about it, we're gonna connect you with like a video and links to where you can buy them to all the 5 people that we went from 10 to 5. By the end of this,
it'll just be us.
It'll just be us, like 2 crazy guys just talking in a closet. But there we go again with our but that's it. So hopefully we kind of gave you a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we're gonna do. And there will be no necessarily set time or length for these. I was listening to a lot of different podcasts as I was trying to figure out how we wanted to put this together. And I mean, I would listen to podcasts that were 3 hours long, some that were 30 minutes, some that were about an hour. So I'm thinking we're probably going to try to hit that hour if we ever get guests, especially the guys that we know. They also love to talk, so that might actually be a lot more hours. So, but you sleep when you're dead. That's going to be part of the new philosophy of 2016. We're gonna
be too busy.
We're gonna get things done. So with that being said, I'll say it again. My name is Joaquin,
and I'm Jay,
and this is Jay, and this is the Overflow Podcast at
outcry.com.
Hey guys, have a blessed day, and till we meet again.
See you next week.
Peace.